Hi everyone, EG here. So today I'm going to talk about how it's time for me to make a reset in my life. And you all know what I've been going through this year. It's been a lot. And a lot of it was obviously my own choice and my own doing, so I'm not complaining about that at all. But it's taken its toll on me. So it's now that I'm feeling better physically, like I'm finally over the aftershocks of the virus I had, that I really need to make a reset. So, but there's a lot of things to consider when you make a reset. I'm going to talk in a minute about what a reset actually is. People talk about it a lot on YouTube channels, but what is a reset? But also, how do you know it's time for a reset? And also, how to deal with a reset when you're living in uncertain times. And so we're going to discuss all those things in the video. As you know, I've been going through a lot this year. A lot of it was my own choice, so I fully understand the stress that it caused and take ownership for that. And then I moved across the country basically to Ohio. So where I'm still settling in, finally I am starting to feel better after the virus I had really took its toll on me for more than a couple of months. And now I'm starting to feel like myself again. So it's really time for a reset. And so what does a reset mean to me? Well, a reset means to me that you kind of take a step back and you think about what's working or not working in your life, and you try to optimize what you're doing. In other words, you look at your maybe if you are you exercising, what are you eating, are you getting enough sleep, are you hanging out with the right people? There's a lot of things involved in a reset. A reset doesn't mean you totally end your life. That's not what a reset is. It's like you're in a particular situation. How do you optimize that situation for yourself? So that's what I'm looking at. So I've already started one aspect of this, which I started walking. And again, getting into a routine of walking. I found two routes that I can walk that don't have tremendous hills. They have little inclines but that's good for me, but the hills aren't too daunting. And so these two walks are through residential areas. They seem like they're pretty good for me. So I'm alternating those like on different days so I don't get too bored with the same route. And the goal is to build up to what I was doing before, which is walking about at least a mile and a half, like 6 days a week at least, and doing that, consistently. I already started meditating again, so that was part of my reset, and I've been doing that pretty well. I still miss a day occasionally during the week, but for the most part, that's doing fine. I gotta work on the food, let me tell you. I still have not gotten into eating what I consider healthily. I'll eat like one thing that's healthy, but then, I'm still eating stuff I shouldn't be eating. So I still got to work on that one. But that one's always a challenge for me. So that's part of the reset. As far as my, kind of social state or that's kind of tied to my transportation issue right now, which if you've been following the channel, you know that without a car, there's very little I can get done. I can take community transportation to the doctors. I went for a wellness visit yesterday and it worked fine. I had scheduled it like 2 weeks in advance. They came, they picked me up, and I got home and, everything was fine. But for other types of things, I've really been ordering most of the time my groceries, just doing the order online and having it delivered through Walmart. Because I just can't afford to rent a car every other week even. And I don't have a car yet. So the goal for a reset is to assuming I just got my payment for, which would have been for September, but you get it in the week of October 21st. So I just got that. And that did not include the extra amount of money I was supposed to get through YouTube. So basically, I think that will be coming in November. I already got a confirmation that they're going to pay me, but it's just a matter of which which monthly pay it goes on. So I think it's going to be next month. Once that happens, I should be able to get hopefully a good enough used car that I can, drive around and get done what I need to. So that's part of the reset. I really need that. I know viewers have given me a hard time about this, but I know my situation, and I know that in the place that I live, that first of all, it's very hard to do without a car. I don't view it as a waste. Even if eventually I have the wherewithal to be able to go live in Europe, then I'll just sell the car. So it's not like it's completely lost. But it will certainly create more convenience for me in the things I have to get done. Plus, give me an option to go out and do some social things, which, in which I can maybe meet other people. And because that has to be part of the reset too. I really do need human interaction of some kind occasionally, not all the time because I'm an introvert, you know that. But, and I do have you guys on the channel, which I do live streams a couple times a week. So that really helps when I do a live stream. But no, I need to at least meet some people and, at least make some friends or good acquaintances, at least people that occasionally I can go and, maybe have lunch with or something like that. So that's part of the reset too, is to develop the situation in which I can, expand my social, connections. Because that's very important. As much as I am an introvert and I'm really happy being alone most of the time, I do know how important it is psychologically to have connections with people. It really is. And I have to push myself, not because I'm shy or I can't talk to people. It's not that at all. It's just that I don't really want to do that. But I also know it's good for me. And I know that when I've gotten together with someone or been social for, even it's just a couple of times a week, it does boost my mood. It does. So even for somebody who's an introvert, it really is a good thing. So that's part of the reset as well for me. Back to the food I'm eating and just my goals, I really would like to lose weight over this next year. I don't want to say a set amount at this point. I think anything over 15 pounds would be good. I'm not unrealistic about it. I just want to lose weight so that any amount of weight I lose just makes it help me healthier. So that's a goal. So that's part of the reset as well. As far as my YouTube journey, I'm going to continue with this channel. I also have my Eldergale Spirit channel. I'll just be posting once a week over there. Once I have a car, I do have plans, and I'm not going to disclose what they are completely, but I do have plans for potentially a third channel, which will be less personal, but definitely something that I would enjoy doing and I would enjoy sharing with people. So I think that we'll just have to see. Hopefully I'll get a car that's reliable enough that will work out. So that's my plans for that. If you watch my live streams, you know that I do have a big concern about being able to increase my YouTube income over the next year, because it's been really on a slide for the last couple of months. I think part of that is just what's happening with YouTube. I don't take that personally at all. I think part of it is just the shift in my channel, because once I came back from Europe, obviously my focus is changing on the channel, and the algorithm, which is driven by AI, is probably slow on the pickup to understand kind of where to push me out to new people. So while hopefully most of you who are already subscribed to the channel are getting notifications that I have a video out, please double check your subscriber status and make sure that you click on the notifications bell to get notifications. Also, it always helps to hit the like button, leave a comment, share the video out. That's things that you can do for me that are absolutely free. So, but I will be also adding some things and changing some things, and I'll be making announcements in the next 2-3 months about some other potential things that will, help the channel. I'm trying to be optimistic and hopeful that the YouTube channel and potentially a new channel will turn things around, and I can make plans for what I want to do come next fall or beyond. So we'll see. Anyway, you guys are along for that journey, so you'll know what's going on. So let's go back to, like, again, a reset is something I think that periodically people really need to do. Like, they need to just sit down and evaluate, like, what do I need to work on in my life that is going to enhance my life? Basically, that's the bottom line of it. So what can I do in my life that's really going to enhance my life? Let me add in the whole, problem in this scenario, which is that all of us, especially those of us who live in the US, but I think in some cases, many other places in the world as well, we're living in uncertain times. We don't know what's the country or the world is going to look like in 6 months or a year. We just have to do the best we can with, as Gandalf says in Lord of the Rings, you can only do I'm paraphrasing. You can only do what you can do with the time that's given to you. That's the only thing you have control over. You can't wish away the times you live in. Boy, I'm really doing a major paraphrase there. Anyway, I don't have it. I don't have the actual phrase memorized, but you know the part I'm talking about. Frodo he was bemoaning the fact that he had to carry this ring of power and that he didn't want to do it, and why did he have to do it? And Gandalf gave him a pep talk. So the point is, we do live in uncertain times. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. We just do. And so, I'm thinking back to in the 1980s when I first heard about people doing like prepping, the people that are called preppers. There's other terms and stuff that people use, but I actually did think, even back then, I didn't think it was a bad idea at all. And I kind of thought, gee, I don't know that I'm capable of really doing that. And I really wasn't. Not even just in a physical sense wasn't, because I didn't live in a situation where I could really amass a lot of things or, had a lot of money to do that with. So, but I always thought that even though I didn't think back in the 80s that horrible times were coming, maybe I should have. But I do think that, if you're somebody that already kind of prepped for the worst, then in some ways I think you're ahead of the game. So, hats off to you. But I think for those of us who did not do that, and have not done that, that we still have to steel ourselves for what is coming. Do the best you can. And that's part of my reset as well. Do the best you can. I'm doing the best I can to make sure that I have, extra food on hand, extra resources, things like that. Make sure you always have, cash on hand or whatever. Just things to just make things a little easier if we go through periodic glitches in the system or, services or whatever. I'm just, I don't know obviously, I don't have a crystal ball about this. I don't know what's really going to happen. I do feel like I will tell you overall, and I'm not trying to be a bummer here, I'm just being real, that I think things are going to get worse before they get better. And it's one of the rationales I also have for having a car, because I really feel like with what's going to happen, I feel like having mobility just is safer for me in the long run. It just gives me, literally an out if I would have to go somewhere else. So anyway, I don't want to talk too much about that, but just, say that it's hard to ignore the times we're living in. It is. It's just hard to do it. And as much as I don't get into the particulars of political stuff on my channel, and I really don't want to, and I also encourage you not to comment about that I'm very vague about it on purpose, because I don't want to go down that hole. I just don't. I'm very aware of everything that's going on. I just choose not to use that or talk about it on the channel. But like I said, you can't stick your head in the sand either. You can't ignore what potentially could happen. And so that's part of my reset too. It just has to be. So I wanted to mention that in this video because it is just a reality that we're dealing with. And I'm hoping the worst doesn't happen. I'm hoping a lot of the worsts don't happen. Of course, praying a lot of the worst don't happen. And it's not just in the US. There's a lot of uncertainty in many parts of the world right now. And, the world is all connected. It's a global you know, civilization, basically. So we're all interconnected, which means that if something happens in one place, it can certainly affect a lot of other places as well, much more than it ever could before. So I think that's also part of it for me. So anyway, back to the idea of a reset. So I just felt like it was important to talk about this because maybe it's time for a reset for you as well. And I think, you know, periodically just looking at our lives and saying, you know, this isn't working or this could be better. I don't think you're ever too old for that. As long as your brain is working and you're functional, I think you can make changes in your life. And if there are things that are going to enhance your life, then go for it. You know, when I started this channel about a little over 3 years ago, I knew that even if I didn't get monetized at that time, because at the time I had no idea how long that was going to take, I knew that doing this was going to enhance my life because this was a passion project. I wanted to share my thoughts, my experience, what I had taught in school, as well as things I had learned being a counselor. I wanted to be able to use those things and share them with people, and that maybe it would help you in your own lives. So I don't ever talk about doing something on this channel that's not important to me personally, that I don't do personally. So this reset is a big part of that. Before the term reset became popular on social media, I was doing resets quite frequently just in my life. I didn't realize that it was a term called reset for that concept, but you know, it's very popular now. So anyway, I'll be sharing with you how my reset is going. So far, I went for a walk today and walked over a mile. So and did a slight hill, and I came back and I was fine. So you're going to be pushing the envelope and start walking now about 4 days a week. The buildup is going to be to 6 days a week, and yeah. That's a big part of my reset. So anyway, I'll be checking in with you. And so until next time, be kind, keep moving forward. Take care. Bye.